Welcome back to the Canadian Museum of Civilization. This is a Queen Anne style doll. This is the oldest doll and the most expensive doll in this exhibit. Now, doll collecting has become a very serious hobby. It's not been a hobby for Natalie Deschênes. It's been a full-time job. You're the project coordinator of this exhibit.
Yes, I am.
The Queen Anne doll is la pièce de résistance.
Indeed, it is, yes.
But what have you learned in terms of what a doll has meant in terms of our developing as a people?
The doll's actually gone through a different times and different functions throughout time, and different cultures as well have used different materials for the doll, and there's quite a variety of those dolls in the show. There are actually over 450 dolls in the show.
Now we're looking at the Inuit dolls. Tell us about those.
Yes, the oldest dolls found in Canada are actually Inuit. They're about 1,000 years old. Unfortunately, they're not in the show at the moment because they're traveling across the world. However, the dolls we do have in the show are from the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. And some of these dolls were actually used as effigies. They would be tied up to the boats because these people would travel on waters, and they would protect them from drowning.
So they were a special spiritual totem.
Yes.
And as we move through the exhibit, we're also, I guess, moving through time. And as we look at some of the other dolls, I want to ask just, why did the museum decide to present a doll exhibit? What did dolls represent for us?
Dolls represent the imagination. You play with them, you can have tea, you can do all kinds of things with dolls. And you even have dolls today that are actually pieces of art with the doll artists. And so dolls will represent ourselves, what we'd like to be, people we aspire to become as well.
And these are very folk artish dolls.
Oh yes, they are the settlers' dolls, and you have a variety in cultures here. You have French Canadian, you have Mennonite, you have people from the Maritimes as well. So there's quite a variety as far as different cultures are concerned in the show.
So these would have been your more rustic dolls, and in this display case we have the more refined dolls.
Yes,
Victorian era?
We do, yes. This is what most people associate to when we talk about antique dolls. This is a Victorian era, as you've mentioned, so the 1800s. What we did at first is young ladies, and eventually went to children and boys. And these dolls usually came undressed. And the mother and the daughter would then sew the clothing for the doll, and usually it would be pretty fancy.
You said that a lot of mothers and daughters have come to the exhibit.
Yes.
And a lot of collectors, I guess, also here to just appreciate the value of some of the dolls. The doll business is big business, isn't it?
It's serious business.
Yes.
Oh, yes. There are even websites all over the world for dolls, and actually the museum is developing a website at the moment.
Just to show what you are showcasing.
Yes.
What do we have in here?
These are antique dolls. You'll notice most of them are actually blonde and have blue eyes. That's because they come from Germany and from France, where the children actually look like this. So the dolls were imported.
And as we move through the display case, I know I wanted to get to the end because the Eaton's dolls are there, and
yes,
that was every young girl in Canada wanted a doll from Eaton's. Did she not?
Absolutely, absolutely. When the catalog would come in, a little girl would just run to the catalog and find the page where the Eaton Beauties doll of that year was, and so that started in 1900. All the way to about 1994, until very recently, actually, when Eaton's closed their doors.
So these are all the Eaton's girls.
Yes, they're absolutely delightful. They're beautiful, and they started off as looking like the antiques, quite luxurious. And eventually, what happened is because these were expensive, not everyone could get their hands on them. We started developing vinyl, and so the dolls for the Eaton Beauties looked a little, I guess some people would use the word cheaper perhaps, which is not necessarily...
Like number 10.
Yeah, like number 10, number 2. And so they weren't actually selling well. So we went back to the fancy doll, which are the dolls you see near the wall, the very fancy ones in the pink and the purple.
Well, we're going to move to the other side of the display in a short while. We will be back with Natalie Deschênes, who is the project coordinator in this doll exhibit. We're just all dolled up and raring to go, aren't we, Natalie?
Oh, yes, we are.
We'll be back.